Hey there, thanks for tuning into DuckBricks. I'm Chris, and this is a brand new January 2024 LEGO Ninjago set, Cole's Elemental Earth Mech. This is part of the new mech system they have devised for 2024, allowing you to swap the limbs, legs, and arms and weapons with each other, very much like LEGO Galador back in 2002. And if you're curious about LEGO Ninjago, on the channel we've already published a mega review of every single one of the 2024 LEGO Ninjago sets. But for this review, let's focus in on Cole's Elemental Earth Mech, which you can see right here.
This is set number 71806, Cole's Elemental Earth Mech. It retails for $20 US or 20 euros and comes with 235 pieces, at a very nice price per part ratio of 8.5 cents. The set comes with two minifigures, one of which is currently exclusive to the set, Cole in his mech pilot outfit, as well as a wolf mask warrior. It is one of the three configuratable mechs that released just this year on January 1st, 2024, alongside Kai's Fire Mech, and Sora's Tech Mech, all of which can be combined and configured with each other in a Galador-esque system to swap the legs, the arms, the weapons, and so on and so forth. Setting aside those two other mechs though and focusing in on Cole's mech itself, this is a primarily Cole-focused build, which obviously every single one of the pieces goes into the mech itself, with a really nice color scheme and power sets that mimic his on-screen powers in the show itself. I'm going to start off by taking a look at the minifigures because I just want to quickly do those as the beginning of the review. I'll also be putting out a separate video on all my full thoughts on the minifigures as well, so do stay tuned for that. Cole is using a brand new dual molded hood and mask combo. The headpiece is the same from Season 1 of Dragons Rising, so that's what it looks like with the alternate head. And the one thing I do want to note about this one is that the color scheme is just alright for me for the headpiece. I think orange and black is a really solid color scheme, but I almost feel like the top part of the head is almost too orange for the minifigure. I think it almost would be better if they were to swap around the way that things are molded, such that he would have an orange headband and maybe a black top of the head. Maybe that would have looked a little bit better just to make it feel more congruent, but overall, it is still a nice looking piece. I love the mech pilot suits actually, some better than others, but I do like how it looks on Cole with the black and orange. Unfortunately though, this orange is not quite as bright as this because they're printing orange on black, so it definitely does feel like this could have been improved a little bit in the production design, but it's not that big of a deal. The one thing I do wish was included was the armor piece, which is typically featured on all of the mech armor suits, but unfortunately for the ninja that actually are piloting the mechs themselves, Cole and Kai, for this wave, they do not have the armor pieces because they just simply do not fit inside the mechs nicely with the armor pieces on. Moving alongside to the villain minifigure, this is one of the wolf mask warriors here. They are just wearing masks, but you can see what's underneath the mask here, which is a really cool powered up face on the front, and then a regular face on the back, or whichever way you want to use it. This is also using a brand new dual molded component of the wolf mask in dark blue and azure, which looks so cool. I'm a big fan of how this one turned out, and the graphic design of the minifigures is phenomenal. Not to mention a great recolor of the Pharaoh's Quest sword. Moving on to the mech itself though, which is the main point of the review, this is one of the most solid builds that we've gotten for Cole pretty much ever. It's really great to finally get a Cole focus set all to himself, and this is a really good way to do it. Articulation is alright for this one. It definitely could be a little bit better, but I think it's okay, and I think actually out of all of the mechs, I'm most okay with the articulation on this one. One of my biggest complaints about these mechs is that unfortunately the hands are not mounted on their own ball joints, so you can't actually swivel the hands themselves without moving the arms, which makes it a little bit difficult to pose. Like with the hammer here, for instance, you must always have the hammer at this angle. You can't really bend it to a different angle. So that is a bit of a complaint, but honestly, for Cole's mech, I can sort of understand why, because they really wanted to integrate the lava arms feature that he has on the minifigure and in the show, which is a really cool look and feel for the mech itself. It's the first mech that actually does integrate that specialized power set that Cole uniquely uses by himself, and I understand why for at least this one they did not include hand articulation, because it would have ruined the congruency of the way the lava hands are done. Now, the legs themselves have a fair amount of articulation. You're a bit restricted when you move the foot upwards to here because it hits the knee armor piece, but I definitely feel like that is probably for the actual structural purposes of the model itself. You've got waist articulation like all of the other mechs, thanks to a brand new component introduced for this wave, which allows you to very compactly integrate the waist articulation itself. And you can open up the cockpit, close it up there. I like how it has this transparent orange feel on the inside, almost like the mech is being being controlled by Earth, similar to his Season 13 mech, and now that we know the mechs are made of chrono steel, it makes sense that the elemental power of Earth is seeping through the mech itself. Now, the COLE mech being $20 is a pretty fair price. It is the shortest of all of the mechs, but that is kind of by design, and aesthetically speaking, I really love how this almost feels dwarf-like. It very much feels like an Earth mech, and the hammer is pretty perfect to be included in the mech itself. Big fan of how they were able to incorporate that into the actual build, and while I wish you could actually play around with the hammer more and articulate it better than you can right now, it's alright. I do like how you can swing it back and forth to some degree, but again, articulation is sort of lacking on these builds. That being said, that's pretty much almost all I have to say about the $20 COLE mech. The color scheme is really solid. Black, orange, and transparent orange is such a killer combo, and it looks really good on the mech. I wish COLE had that armor piece, but the outfit is alright. Very, very orange head, which still don't really know how I feel about that, but overall, pretty okay with the overall look and feel and design of the build itself, and I feel like this is a pretty solid $20 Ninjago mech set. But one thing I do have to note is that this entire design is specifically designed to be reconfigured with the different mechs that come in the waves. As you can see, you have a number of different component elements. You've got the waist, you've got the legs, you've got the upper torso, and you've got the arms, and that entire thing is meant to interface with the other mechs in the wave. Take Kai's Elemental Fire mech here, which I've also reviewed on the channel, and you can say give the torso to COLE's mech, or give the legs to COLE's mech in this sense, put the torso on the other one, do a swap like that, but of course you can do even more by adding on one of the arms from Kai's mech there, and then you can add on one of the ones from COLE's mech right here. You can actually almost make a Firestone mech from the Season 13 wave by just kind of going like this. By swapping the legs, it doesn't always work because a lot of legs are longer than others, and especially with this one, COLE's leg is much longer than Kai's leg, but you can get a pretty funny looking build out of it. I'm pretty happy with the way that you can play around with these different mechs, and it gets even better when you even add the addition of Sora's mech into the mix as well, because this one has a very different aesthetics compared to some of the other ones. You can really just play around with all sorts of different bits and pieces you want to include on the builds themselves, and just go crazy, and I feel like that is one of the best things about LEGO. Of course, you could kind of already do this on existing LEGO sets. Like, you can take your existing mechs, and as long as they're mounted on ball joints, you can get a lot of different stuff done with them, but the entire system facilitating this is really cool. I really like how LEGO did make this its own fully interactive buildable system. It's very, very cool how they were able to create 3 mechs and a 4th coming in March that all rely on one interesting system of play here, and you can just make all sorts of cool creations out of them. Like, this is actually pretty cool looking. I kind of like the way that this one turned out with the weapon on one side and the fire on the other side. It's just such a fun concept, and I'm a big fan of the way they really emphasize that for the play of this particular system. That's all I have to say about COLE's mech for now. Price is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the price itself. Everything else is fairly solid. Definitely feel that articulation could be improved, but to me, this is maybe a hot take, but this for me is the best mech that we got in the January wave, and I think I already like it more than Lloyd's mech coming in March. I just feel like it has so much character to it. The silhouette is so unique. It is very vibrant in the color scheme, and everything is just really, really fun with how it's put together. I would definitely highly recommend it. For 20 bucks, it's pretty great value.
Alright, and with that, we have summed up a brand new Ninjago 2024 review. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the set. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Are you going to be buying this set yourself? And of course, thank you so much for tuning into Duck Bricks. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming away very soon. Thanks so much for tuning in, and bye for now.